Welcome to Row 87 with Shuts and Boom, Season 2, Episode 15. I am Shuts.
I'm Boom.
Well, that was an interesting week last week.
Slightly.
No, oh, God.
I didn't even watch.
I did. I had a class reunion going on. I had a great time with my fellow classmates, 20-year reunion. I got to somewhat apologize because at least for the first quarter and a half, completely zoned.
Why is that?
Because
was something going on?
The start time of the class reunion was the exact time of kickoff in Minneapolis.
Fantastic.
But you know what? By halftime, I didn't have to worry about much. That game was over.
Yeah.
That was over.
I was listening. I went old school. I had the radio on, listening to the Huskers, and I was watching real Big Ten football. Iowa, Penn State.
That was a tough loss. We'll get to it. We'll touch on that game. That was horrible. That was one of the worst losses.
So 20-year reunion.
Yeah.
Did you have fun?
I had a good time.
Did you enjoy it?
Saw some classmates. This last week has been a blur. I've got a dear friend of mine in town I haven't gotten to see. I've had midterms going on this week. I had a football game Friday night, the Husker game, the reunion Saturday, 2 football games on Sunday, a football game well north of Fremont on Tuesday. I had a midterm and presentation on Wednesday. It's just been a crazy, crazy week. I've barely slept, but we're having fun. We got to do the show.
Yeah.
We got to do the show. The show goes on, Boom.
The show must go on. Win or lose, we got a job to do.
You got basketball coming up?
I do. Cool. Next weekend. Not that next weekend, you and I are going to be headed to Lincoln together with the Oracle and Mama Shuts.
Absolutely.
All 4 of us in different, almost caddy corner of each other in the stadium, opposite end zones.
We'll see them, though. They'll be in red.
Yeah, you'll be able to spot them. Well, your dad will probably be able to spot us with the binoculars. But.
You know, they did a cool thing. Did you ever see that? They posted it up online where they took these 360 shots with GoPros. You can find your seats and see where you're sitting.
Really?
And you can actually, I tried to find the Oracle and my mom. It was hard, but they were there. You can zoom right into their seats where they're at.
Oh, my.
It's pretty cool.
Nice.
So, yeah, big week. We have a bye week. Nebraska has a bye week.
They do, and they need it.
We
need it.
You know, usually you're the doom and gloom Boom I joke about. Boom had me on suicide watch after that game. Thank God for the 20-year reunion. I had other things going on. I was too busy.
You needed that win more than the Huskers did.
I think we both did. Not you. I'm talking about me and the Huskers. That was a rough one. I think it was a rough one because of the fashion of ass beating that occurred.
Yeah, there was
if
nothing
that had gone
pretty.
down to the wire, and it still would have hurt me and hurt the Huskers, yeah, okay, it had gone down to the wire. But if you're being objective about it, the pundits, the national pundits, a lot of the local pundits, you, me, we were torn on it. Nobody saw 34-7.
No, I thought we were going to lose by a field goal.
I thought we were going to win by a field goal. By the way, guys, I did put up a video. It didn't post for some reason. We're working on it. My reaction was this, and we'll get to it in the commentary. That was a shit show. I don't know for sure if it was technique, if it was play calling, if it was depth. I think it's a mixture. It's a mixed bag. We'll get to it.
There's a little bit of everything going on in
There's
Lincoln
a mixture of everything. Going north, going south, I don't know. We're not going to know this weekend.
No. I will guarantee Nebraska doesn't lose this weekend.
Well, that's kind of a good feeling.
I should probably specify football.
Yeah.
I don't want to jinx the Lady Huskers. I don't want to jinx the volleyball team.
They're doing all right.
They're doing okay.
They're doing fine.
They're okay.
Cook's a badass.
They're all right.
They'll be fine.
They're all right.
Yeah. They're a top 5 team.
Oh, well, if you're not first,
you're last.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'd compare the volleyball team to Rutgers' volleyball team.
You might be able to compare the Husker football team with.
All right. Well, speaking of which, bottom of the barrel. Who's your bottom of the barrels this week? Who do you think's your bottom of the barrel? Not much has changed. You could be a smartass and say Nebraska, and the Big Ten wise.
Yeah, I'm going to go with that.
Not on the national scene.
The way they played, the way that football team played against the team they played against. I actually took a Shutsy point of view on Sunday. I went to my local scooters. I did some work for the website. Some things that I post, I schedule out, like the music stuff that we've started to do. I schedule all of that, but it's all done on Sunday. Sunday is kind of my day to kind of do things for the website. I mentioned the fact that, we got pushed around by a used car salesman. Not by a team of Goliaths. Not by a team of strength and might and godliness. No, we got beat by Row the Boat.
That was a sad day.
We got beat down by Row the Boat.
Speaking of websites, Ashley loved the article. Awesome.
She did a piece on Blue October that's phenomenal. Check it out if you haven't, row87.com. Under the blogs tab, Ashley did a phenomenal job on it, so got to plug that.
Managing editor, she's a badass. We'll talk to her soon. We'll have meetings this week.
Yes.
Yeah, bottom of the barrel, I don't know. It's usually the same old.
Skurs in all three spots. Offense, defense, special teams. There's your bottom of the barrel right there.
Okay, we'll go with that for this week in the Big Ten. Who's riding high? Again, the usual suspects. I'd say in the Big Ten, Minnesota's riding pretty damn high.
They're undefeated.
6-0. They've got Rutgers. They got a tough one against Rutgers.
Make it 7.
Make it 7.
Make it 7 for Flecky.
Yeah, I got to swallow my pride. They handed it to us. That was
you think he might be a better coach than we're giving him credit for?
Well,
honestly, honestly.
certainly what I'm giving him credit for. Absolutely. I still am not convinced on him. But you know what I said before the game? And not to cop out, I thought Nebraska would win it. I said that momentum's a hell of a thing, and right now they have a hell of a lot of momentum going on. A lot of it. A lot more than the boys down in Lincoln do. A lot more.
Well, there's absolutely zero mojo going in Lincoln right now.
Great time for a bye week, if there ever was.
Yes.
We'll see.
They need it.
Let's get to some top 25, boom.
Top 25. That's where it's at.
That's where it's at for this week. I still don't know where I'm watching the game. Where are you going?
I don't know if I'm watching any games this weekend. I might actually try to be social.
Well, football season, as far as for officiating in high school and junior high, it's winding down.
Yeah,
we're getting down to the last couple of weeks. I don't know. My married friends, I haven't heard a peep from any of them.
No.
Usually I do. I haven't heard a peep.
No. Nothing. Nothing at all.
Not a thing. Clemson number 3 at Louisville. Clemson by 24.
You know, Clemson's wow. Obviously, I think Clemson's going to win the game. Louisville's playing better than I thought they would this year. They're not a terrible team.
No, I say I'm going to take the points. I think Clemson's going to do it. West Virginia at I'm sorry.
I'll take the points. I think that they win, but they don't cover.
West Virginia at Oklahoma.
Drop the points.
Drop the points, 33.5.
Drop the points. I am all in on Oklahoma. I am all in on Jalen Hurts winning the Heisman. Yes, over Tua. Matter of fact, I would put Tua at 3rd right now, behind old boy from LSU, who is lighting it up right now as well.
Who is a Nebraska legacy that Mike Riley didn't even offer.
Correct.
Jamie Burrow, I think his name
Joe
is.
Burrow.
Joe Burrow, excuse me.
Yeah, Joe Burrow.
That West Virginia-Oklahoma game, I think Oklahoma wins it by 14. It's still closer than the experts think. 14-21.
I respect that.
Florida at South Carolina. You know the South Carolina that knocked off Georgia.
Yes.
Florida by 5. That's what they think of this game. I think Florida covers it. I think that South Carolina's riding high. That's a lot of momentum when you beat a team like Georgia.
I agree.
And you have a down week. Traditionally, football teams have down weeks the next week. We'll see. I like Florida to cover those points.
Yeah, I'll drop the points.
Auburn at Arkansas. Auburn by 19.5. Arkansas is having a bad year.
Arkansas is having a bad decade.
Yeah, they're 2-4. I like Auburn in this one. I like Auburn.
To think that Brett Bielema was the death nail of Arkansas.
But was he the death nail? What were they before he got there?
World beaters, Houston Nutt, the guy we wanted.
Yeah, no, a guy Steve Peterson wanted. That's a whole nother back issue. We're not going to go down memory lane, folks.
Why not?
No,
we're playing like it.
No, we wish we were playing like memory lane.
Oh, actually,
we wish we were playing like memory lane.
That tells you something.
We wish we were playing like our third team during memory lane.
Yes.
Good.
Are you talking about the Callahan era, the golden years?
Yeah.
Callahan era?
Well, that Callahan's offensive line would have done something. Still no defense.
Boom.
Still no defense. Still no defense, though.
Yeah. No,
but we'd have scored some points.
We would have put up plenty of points.
LSU, Mississippi State. LSU by 17.5.
LSU's going to win, but they have a hard time. Typically, they struggle at Mississippi State traditionally. I think they win.
I'm going to take the points, too.
Yeah, I think they win. But I don't think they cover.
Crazy Pac-12 game. Number 12, Oregon, at number 25, Washington. Oregon by 3.
Yes.
Upset.
Boom! You heard it here.
Washington.
Okay.
There's just in that right there. This is my crazy prediction for the week. I'll probably have several more. This is my really crazy one. Everybody thinks what's his name, Peterson, the coach at Washington.
Yes.
Thank him because you just killed the Pac-12's chances of having anybody represent in the college playoff and probably any New Year's game.
Well, contractually, they'll be in the Rose Bowl. Someone will.
So, well, yeah, okay, that's cute.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah. That one, that will be the nail. That's my prediction. That will be the nail in the coffin of the Pac-12. Surprise, surprise. But congratulations, you're going to go to the toilet bowls.
Yes.
A toilet bowl, by the way, another slam. I don't mean to pile on, Husker Nation. Nebraska's hoping to get to a toilet bowl this year.
Yes, they are. And Husker fans were all hovering around the toilet bowl on Sunday morning.
We joked and joked about the Pinstripe Bowl because you're such a Sox fan.
By the way, last time I checked, the Yankees are down right now, getting ready to go down 3-1. Not against my Red Sox, but I'm a fan of anybody playing the guys in pinstripes. So
we joked about that Pinstripe Bowl because it's at Yankee Stadium, and you know what? That's looking awfully appetizing for Nebraska right now, isn't it?
I still wouldn't wipe my ass walking into that building.
But my point, what's my point? Getting to a bowl game.
Who wants to go to New York City in the middle of winter and watch a baseball?
I'd rather go to New York City in the middle. I'd rather go to New York City in the middle of winter than stay home for the third winter in a row.
Well, it depends. Are we going to get slapped around by whoever we play in?
15 practices, son. 15 practices.
Well, I mean, we had our best week of practice, and look what happened.
Come on, boom, come on. Quit,
no.
quit it.
This is a great time to interject with maybe it's time to start to reevaluate the gospel according to Frosty. Maybe
we'll get to it. Let's get to the top 25 in the Big Ten before you get on your podium.
You're getting me worked up.
You think?
Yeah, a little bit.
So you like Oregon to cover?
I do.
SMU is 6-0 out of nowhere, playing Temple. Temple's 5-1. It's at SMU.
Crazy.
That's wild to me. 7.5 SMU. Because I don't know any better, I'm going to go SMU.
Yeah, I am too.
Tulsa at Cincinnati. Old Fickle's got Cincinnati at 5-1. They're 21st ranked. Cincinnati by 17.5. Tulsa's 2-4. Why not? Drop the points.
I'll take Cincinnati.
Appalachian State is 24th ranked. They're playing Louisiana Monroe at Appalachian State. Appalachian by 15.
Drop it.
Drop it. Here we go.
Let's do it.
Baylor riding high, 6-0. 18th ranked at Boone Pickens Stadium, Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State is favored. They're not even ranked. They're favored by 4.5.
Drop the points.
Drop the points.
Yes.
You like Baylor.
I do. No. Drop the points. I like Oklahoma State.
So do I, actually.
Favored. I like Oklahoma State.
Missouri Vanderbilt. Missouri's 22nd ranked, 5-1, playing 1-5 Vandy. Mizzou by 21.
They win, but they don't cover. I'm not dropping 21 points. I know Vandy sucks, but I hate Missouri.
I won't.
No science. None involved there.
I won't drop it either, but Missouri wins. Kentucky at Georgia. Georgia by 25.
I'm going to drop the 25. Georgia's mad. Georgia's angry. Kentucky's still Kentucky.
I'm not going to. Georgia win by 21. They won't win by 25.
Okay.
Arizona State at Utah, 17 versus 13. Utah by 13.5.
Here's my upset special of the week. Arizona State wins outright.
Wow, that's a ballsy one. 13.5. Okay.
Pac-12.
Fair enough.
Pac-12.
I'm going to go.
If I'm going to pick an upset, it's in the Pac-12.
I'm going to go with Utah by a field goal and a touchdown. They won't cover.
Okay.
Take the points.
All right.
Kansas, who put a fight up with Oklahoma for a bit, made it entertaining, is going to Longhorn country. Texas by 21. Texas is 15th ranked at 4-2. Kansas is 2-4. 21. Yeah, I like that.
Yep,
I like
so
that.
Do I.
I'm not high on Texas, but I like that.
I do as well.
Tennessee at Alabama. Good Lord. Alabama by 34.5.
No.
Me neither.
No.
Alabama's still big.
Oh, yeah. But not by 34.
Boise State at BYU. Boise State's 14th ranked. Boise State by a touchdown only at BYU.
What does that tell you? Does that make you apprehensive about that line?
It does.
I saw that line and I went, ooh, I don't know if I want to touch that. I don't know that I want to touch that.
BYU's a snake pit.
We know all too well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not that we were there, but we know all too well.
Oh, I was there for the Hail Mary versus BYU. Mike Riley's first game.
That was at home.
Yeah, well, playing BYU is a snake pit. Let's put it that way. Playing at their house, probably even more so. On to the Big Ten. Ohio State, Northwestern. At Northwestern, Ohio State by 27.5.
No. They win. They don't cover.
I don't recall the last time Fitzy lost by 28 to a team. We did it one time. We beat them 38-17. 21. I've seen 21. I've never seen a 27.5 that I can remember.
I don't think Ohio State covers. I think they beat them big, but not that big.
I think this is the one and only time that I'm actually going to go against what I just said, and I think Ohio State covers it.
Okay.
I think it buckles the back of Old Northwestern. Wisconsin at Illinois. Wisconsin by 31.
Drop it.
I agree. This one's intriguing to me. Purdue at Iowa. Iowa by 17.5. I'm saying take the points. Iowa wins. Iowa's burnt me twice. I called 2 upsets. I got beat twice in a row.
I'm going to agree with you on that. I've gone back and forth. Iowa wins. They don't cover.
Minnesota at Rutgers. Yawn. Minnesota by 28.5.
Well, how many did they beat Nebraska by? Yeah, I'll drop the points.
They beat them by 27.
They're going to keep rowing that boat.
Yeah, I'd agree. Heck, I won't row the boat ever, but I agree. Indiana at Maryland. Circle this one. You said that before we went on air. You said circle it.
If I weren't working, I would be watching that.
Indiana by 5.5. It's at Maryland. Indiana's 4-2. Maryland's 3-3.
That's tough.
It is tough.
Because I only say that because of the point spreads that we've seen with Maryland this year.
Right.
That's what makes me kind of scratch my head and go.
I'm calling that game a toss-up. I'm not calling it. I call that a toss-up either way. I can't decide.
I think Indiana wins.
See, I think if I had to, I'd lean more towards Maryland.
I just don't know about points.
Michigan, 16th ranked, 5-1. At Penn State, 6-0. Penn State by 9.
Penn State wins. They don't cover.
I think Penn State covers.
Wow. You are not big on Franklin, and you are actually...
Yeah, I am.
Wow.
Maybe I'll curse him. I've cursed everybody else I've picked.
Well.
That's just what I think.
That's a heavyweight fight, though. I want to watch that game.
I'm telling you.
What time does that kick off? If I'm not working and I'm not into anything, I might try to watch that.
I think game day is going to be there.
So that's probably your 7 o'clock, 6:30, 7 o'clock kickoff on ABC. Yeah, I want to watch that game. I really, really want to watch that football game. Just because I like the way Penn State's playing football. They're playing good football right now.
He's got something going there.
You know, they've got a decent running back. They've got a decent quarterback. They have something going. They've got a lot of momentum right now.
Well, Nebraska's on a bye week, and I think it came at a perfect time.
Yes, it did.
There's a lot to unpack with this.
You think?
Oh, God. The defensive line looked initially like it got pushed. Start on the defense. Looked like it got pushed around by Minnesota.
But did they?
See, I don't buy that whole, well, it was just all technique. Yeah, but, there's so much to unpack on this. Yeah, I partially buy that it was a technique deal. But why is it a technique deal with a bunch of seniors in week 7? You still don't know the basics in week 7 with seniors returning starters on defense? I don't know. As far as the linebackers, horrible game. Horrible.
I don't know. The linebackers are terrible. They're terrible. And I love some of those guys. I love Mulberry. Mulberry's been the guy who can tackle. Technique on the defensive side of the ball. The line, I'm going to agree with Scotty. I'm going to say they did their job. The linebackers and the defensive back. One, how many years are we going to have to preach form tackling? Tackle. Just hit somebody, please. Tackle them. That would be great. If you could tackle someone, I'd be very, very happy.
That was reminiscence of tail end Riley, tail end Callahan era. That was horrid, that game, tackling wise.
I was not impressed.
Horrible. As far as the offensive line, something's wrong. Something is absolutely wrong. I think we got two guys that I've been overall have done serviceable. One of them's a freshman. I got no problem with Cam Jurgens. I think that guy's pretty damn good. He's going to be pretty damn good. I got no problem with the aggressiveness of Bo Wilson. I have a problem with two returning starters at tackle digressing.
Who would they be, Shutzy?
I think that Farniok and Jaimes are digressing. I don't know why. And you talk about technique. What are you talking about? They're returning starters. I think that you wanted to get on the old podium kick about gospel this and gospel that.
I think it's time to stop just believing the gospel according to Frost. This was the best week, the best Monday practice they've had. This was a solid week of practice. We thought we had them ready. This was Scott coming out and saying we knew exactly what they were going to run. Something's not right. I'm not buying. I said this last season. I did. There came a point where I said, I'm done listening. Call me the state of Missouri. Show me. Show me. I'm done listening. I need to see it on the field. I'm not saying that I'm not going to listen to anything Scotty says, because obviously I did already. He talked about the technique. When he's talking about practice, I'm done. That's great. They practice great, doesn't mean anything. They practice like shit, doesn't mean anything, because they lose either way. So what is going on at practice? Is it him trolling everybody? Is he trolling us? Is it him not being able to come out and say, guys, we're not very good, even though he knows it? I think there is a disconnect. I think that this is all. How many times have you and I sat here and talked about in between the years over the last year?
Oh, I think
year
so.
And a half. It's still going on. I think there is a fortitude issue in Lincoln with a lot of young men. I don't like to put down kids. These are kids. I have a child who is their age. I get it. I'm not going to name a name, but when I hear that an athlete, I did name it on the website, so if you want to know what I'm talking about, go and check it out, or if you know what's going on in Husker land, you're going to know anyways. But a guy who we expected big things out of this year, out of a room that we expected big things out of this year, basically said, we've been around each other since August 2nd. We've been together for 6 weeks, 7 weeks out of the season. I think we just need to get away from each other. You need to get away from each other? You just got manhandled by PJ Fleck. You got manhandled by a three-man front. Tight ends are supposed to block too. They got pressure with three-man fronts. Pressure with a three-man front. They are not known for defense in Minnesota.
I think
it's time to stop.
We talk about
Scott.
coaches, and I'm not saying there's going to be some max exodus or some firings going on, but there is something, as far as the O-line goes, there's something wrong there.
There's something serious. Now, I will still say there's still a huge lack of depth. There is. When I was sitting next to the Oracle a couple weeks back at that football game, and I couldn't tell who was down on the ground, my stomach was in a knot, and my heart dropped because I thought it was Cam, because I know the options behind him are real thin.
I think, though, we go back to a fortitude. Thin. Okay, I'll buy that. A lot of pundits around, the local pundits, you got to give him time because they know there's bickering right now, and there's a lot of frustration right now outside the walls down in Lincoln.
I think there's frustration inside the walls.
Well, certainly. But I think that, as far as the fandom, the guys in row 87, I hear you on the depth issue, but that's one of the issues. But that's not the underlying issue. Depth wasn't the reason they got their asses kicked against Minnesota.
The issue is fortitude, heart, and ball sack.
And
period.
Okay, if it's technique, I keep looping back to this because I'm at a stuck point. That offensive line has two returning starters who looked the worst in that game. You had a guard who went down, who, yes, I know they put him on highlight reels, or they put him up on the big screen, getting bowled over, and they finally brought a sub in. But I keep going back to the tackles. I keep going, depth is an issue, but your starters are digressing. I think that it's if you want my God from the bottom of my gut objective opinion, I think that's a real gut check time for a certain coach down there in Lincoln getting talked to by Frost. Saying,
is it him or is it the scheme?
I think
he's coaching again. I think it's an
offense
that's Scott's.
But I think that Scott still believes in aggressiveness, and Scott's offense is predicated on the run. It always has been. Down at Central Florida, it's predicated on the run.
I agree, but Scott's there every day at practice. He's there.
Something's got to give.
He's there every day at
I'm saying that something's got to give.
Oh, something needs to give.
Something's got to give. Besides our O-line giving up sacks, giving up pressure, something's got to give. I'm saying that's where, for me, that's where it starts. It always starts up front. Offensive line, defensive line. I have a trouble with the fact that from my view, 2 tackles are digressing, that are returning starters, and they look worse than they did last season. Now, listen, in fairness, could there be an injury? Guys that are truly maybe there is. Okay, let's not throw them to the wolves. But then why aren't we seeing a rotation? I listen and I believe in part of the depth issue. There isn't anybody else. Well, there's Ben Hart. There's guys that Scott touched on this week, Frost. There's guys going on that offensive line that are freshmen that are going to get their 4 games this year.
Yes, sir. I think he named 2 people, Ben Hart, and then guy.
You keep forgetting his name.
Which Ethan Piper.
Yep.
Don't be surprised. I'm not saying they're going to start. They're not going to start. They're not going to start this year. Maybe at the end. Maybe at a bowl game. If we get there,
they got to get there first.
We are going to see. I wouldn't be surprised even against a Whiskey in Iowa, especially Ben Hart.
You got to start doing something because that whole line's coming back next year. As it sits today, that whole line is coming back next year. Not a single starter's leaving.
I would also swap out and play 2 different guys at outside backer. I would play 2 different guys at outside backer. I would start, and it's not just because I got the man crush going. If you're going to have somebody who's over pursuing and making a mistake, at least have it be the guy who has an excuse because he's actually a freshman, and start Garrett Nelson and pick your poison. Stop playing this nickel game and just put JoJo in it outside and let him go. Period. Garrett, JoJo, let it. When JoJo's on the field, he makes things happen. He needs to be on the field. But if your defense is struggling, you need your best guys out there. Or you need guys that are going to go out there and hit somebody in the mouth. Or at least somewhat be somewhere near where they're supposed to be on the field while Minnesota is lighting up a scoreboard.
I think that the defensive side of it, let's finish up on offense.
Okay, sorry. Tangent.
Yeah, that's all right. It's maddening. We talked about it. I hesitate, but it's our show. I want to do it. I hesitate to do it, but there are a couple coaches on offense that I look at and go, it's gut check time. Yes, I know it's Scott's system, but he's the boss. He wants it run a certain way. It's not getting done. I'm putting it on you in the charge to do it. I think it's, and this could all change. Maybe it is they needed some time away. There's other issues we don't know about. From my optics and 20-some years of watching football, gut check time to a couple of you guys. What's going on here? And that's the O-line coach, and that's Walters, the receivers coach. I didn't say they're on notice they're going to get fired and it's all this and that. I'm not going to pull a doom and gloom boom.
I think, but I agree with you though. I think they need to evaluate themselves. They need to reevaluate the team.
And that goes with Scotty. Scotty's got to evaluate. Maybe
the buck stops with him. Ultimately,
not
the buck stops
his
there.
style. Okay, your style, but how you're going about your style. He talks about basics. If you want to go that route, fine. Then get back to something you can do. The basics. Defensively, boy, I don't know where you start there.
You start, okay, the buck stops with Scotty, ultimately. I said this to you last night while we were hanging out. I think Scotty needs to pay more attention to his defense. I think if you're the head coach, listen, when Tom was here, Tom didn't call defense. Tom didn't have anything to do with the defense, but he had a guy who was with him for decades of experience. Charlie McBride, a guy who had to tinker, a guy who had to switch from a 3-4 to a 4-3 to win a national championship. Yes, we ran a 3-4, and then he ran a 4-3. We ran a 3-4 back in the day. Charlie McBride decided to switch that up. What happened? We started converting, defensive backs and making them into linebackers. We got faster. We had, I don't know. There's a lot that Scotty needs to spend more time looking at the defense. Scotty needs to talk to his boy because ultimately this is Chinny's defense and it sucks.
It's so linebacker reliant to fill the gaps. A lot of defenses are.
And I'd like to remind the world that they sucked at UCF as well. Their defense didn't win them those football games. They won shootouts on a weekly basis.
Yeah, I think that, God, I hesitate to do that, but I just think that when you play when we want turnovers, well, everybody wants turnovers. You're playing this, we're gonna have a shoot it out, but we're gonna win because we get more turnovers than you. I hear you. Turnovers are huge in every game. They're huge. But you're relying on, well, we're going to get 3 or 4 turnovers and we'll win in the shoot. No, you can't. What do you mentioned this, and this is an overall thing: offense, defense, special teams, the whole thing. What's the identity of Nebraska? Because I can't tell you.
Honestly,
I'm not trying to be a smart ass.
Well, it's in my blood. I can't help it. The identity of this football team is failure. And I think that's what creeps up. I think that's another element to all this. I think there are still a lot of guys on this team. In the back of their mind, something starts to go wrong, and it's, oh shit, here we go again. Here we go again. Here we go again.
I mean by identity is, what is it you're good at on offense? What is it you can hang your hat on defense you do? Is it pressure? Is it we're great run defense? Is it we're a great pass defense? Is it we're really good at locking down on the edges? Is it we're really... I get the smart-ass remarks, but boom, I'm just saying that you don't have... There's nothing you can hang your hat on. That you're like, they do this fairly well. They do that fairly well.
Identity theft
is a serious thing, Jim. I think that...
we don't have an identity. We haven't for it.
And
that's a problem. Man.
Part of it, that's going to take time. But the best statement Scott Frost made this week was this: back to basics. I agree. Quit getting exotic. Quit doing all fancy dancy stuff on the outside edges with your receivers. Who clearly there's a disconnect there. There's a disconnect on the O-line.
Yeah,
do something basic.
Okay, I agree. They need to do something basic. Let's address another problem that we're seeing on this offense, especially. Wandale went out, and so did any ounce of hope Nebraska had. That dude went off the field. Yeah, we scored a touchdown without him. It was garbage time. Let's be honest. It was garbage time. They might have still been their first team defense. I didn't watch the game. I don't know. It was probably still their first team defense at that point. Flecky had taken his... Say what you want about P.J. Fleck. He was a class act in a sense that he probably could have hung 14 to 21 more points on us and didn't. He took his foot off the gas, just like Ohio State took their foot off the gas. You better get this shit fixed quick, because guess who is not going to do that? Paul Chryst. Guess who's not going to do that? Kirk Ferentz. Guess who's not going to do that? Indiana. Even Indiana. They're not going to take their foot off the gas. Man, offense is what they do. That's all they do. Purdue, they can't afford to take their foot off the gas. If they're scoring points, they're going to light it up. Same with Maryland.
I think that, the main two in that are Ferentz and Chris. They won't let it up at all. But, that's down the road. I'm talking here and now.
We don't have an identity.
We don't have an identity.
We almost 20 years.
We don't.
We haven't.
And that takes time. I am not on the bandwagon. I'll make this very clear. We've been on our little stope boxes over here, ranting and raving. I'm not on the podium of get rid of Scott. This is all bullshit.
No.
I'm saying, yes, you're going to have to preach patience, but in order to see progress, which I guess at times I'm willing to say we've seen progress.
We've seen flashes. We still have not seen 4 full quarters of football from both sides and special teams since Scotty got here. Since before then. Since Mike Riley, before he left. We still haven't seen a complete 4-quarter game in every aspect of the game from Scott Frost.
Nope. The closest we've come is in the Northern Illinois game.
Yes.
And if you'd have taken the special teams away, you would have seen a complete game.
Correct.
But we didn't. Clearly, we didn't.
No, we did not.
But that was a special teams nightmare. The special teams have been a nightmare. There's a lot to... You know what? The bye week is perfect, because next week, you and I are going to get to do this all over again. We're going to do a little predicting on Indiana. We'll know a lot more. There'll be a lot more press. There'll be a lot more buzz. Right now,
I think Bobby Knight is going to have a huge impact in this game.
Bobby Knight?
Yeah.
Okay.
Indiana, right? Hoosiers?
Yeah.
Is the football team coming, or is it because when we made the trip a few years back, I don't know that they knew what a field goal was. They saw the hands went up, and I'm pretty sure that they thought that it was a 3-point field goal, but not the same kind of field goal.
They don't care much down there, do they?
They
about
do
their
not
football.
care about football at all.
The basketball stadium's right next door. They love that.
Oh,
That's a mecca to them.
Assembly Hall. I wished we would have had more time in B-Town because that would probably actually be a pretty cool spot to go.
I'm surprised the coach who was with us for that didn't want to go in there.
Didn't
They were doing a
insist.
tour. They were doing a tour too, and he's like, "Nah, I'm good."
I'm a little surprised as well. Maybe we'll have to plan another trip to B-Town. It was so much fun.
No, it was.
The hills have eyes.
No, it was an oddity. I'm glad I went.
So did I.
But I've went, and now I can say I've went.
Well, we got to go to Perdon't.
Well, we do. I haven't been there yet.
So we're going back.
The Oracle and I are going to Maryland this year. We'll talk about next year.
Yes.
Which won't be Purdue. They'll be coming here. Interesting week. A lot to uncover. I think that it starts on to wrap it. I guess I would say this on offense. You better take a long look at that O-line. I think it's a three-pronger here. What are you teaching them? What are we doing? And Scott, how are you going about it?
I want to give you props, though, by the way, to kind of go off the rails here a little bit. Welcome back, Cade Warner.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Cade Warner. Not that he's going to light up the world, because he's not. He's not fast enough. He's not shifty. Welcome back, Cade Warner, because you were the only thing stable in that offense once Wandale
I told
left the
you.
field. But he's not. He is
Just
old.
give me my props and leave it.
I'm
Boom.
giving you props. I'm just saying he's old, reliable, but he's still not going to win you any football games. Nebraska needs help. They need help in the worst way. They need to mend Band-Aids for the next week and a half, and a day, whatever.
I think that what you're doing, how you're doing it, the technique, and who's playing on the offensive line, a receiver. You know, I hate to dog on him because you just don't know enough yet. But Walters, your whole no block, no rock. Well, how about you run routes too, boys? I get it, but we don't particularly block well on the perimeter. Not that it's been horrible, believe it or not. It hasn't been.
You know what? It was last week.
It was last week, but overall it hasn't been horrible.
Overall, it's been better. I think I agree with you that Walters needs to do something with the wide receivers. But even I am back, and it's been me preaching most of this season separation, and lack thereof. I think I would like to apologize to Adrian Martinez.
You keep high-lowing him.
Right. You saw the performance of this offensive line last week. The worst offensive line performance that I have ever seen at Nebraska, ever. That is the worst offensive line performance I have ever seen. There were tackles for loss with a three-man rush. Tackles for loss. Three-man rush. I can't stress that enough. This is the worst performance from an offensive line at Nebraska I have ever seen. Hank Hughes coached here. This is the worst offensive line performance.
Hank Hughes was a defensive line.
I'm talking. I can't think of his name now. With Riley.
Oh boy, yeah.
I can't think
Uncle
of his name.
Fester looking, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, enough of the soapbox. No,
we can't get enough of the soapbox.
It has been in this, for those of you listening outside the state of Nebraska, it's been a very outraged reminiscence of old. Not ready to fire the coach. That's ludicrous. We're not that crazy. We are crazy, but
slightly.
It has been a wild week. My boy Pete down in Maryland has been ripping on me. He goes, "How do you think your boys have a chance down here in Maryland? Because we're going to go down there and see him." And I had to fire back. I'm like, because Maryland worries about crab cakes and pro sports. They don't even know they have a university down there. They don't care. We'll see. We'll be down from that. We'll get some tidbits when we're down there. Work on things, the basics. I agree. A lot more content coming up. We won't have a post game. It'll be kind of a quiet weekend, kind of our own little bye week, I guess, this weekend.
No studs and duds this weekend. No post game reaction from Schuts this weekend.
No, it'll just be kind of quiet. But we did some stuff today. We're not going to announce. We're not trying to tease you too much. We have some stuff here in the works. Around Christmas, we're hoping by the end of the season, we'll say a lot more announcement stuff going on.
By Christmas, the season might have already been over for 3 weeks. Let's be honest.
You can tell Boom is in a great mood about this program and the state of affairs, as is the rest of the state. No, we're having fun with it. We'll be back next week. More content to follow us. Follow us on Roadie 7. Share and like us. Subscribe. YouTube, Instagram, Twitter.
Spotify.
With that, I am Schuts.
I'm Boom.
We'll catch you next week.